that's a Sactown thing. Talking about us, it's a bounce out thing. Must they forgot we some Sacramento Kings. Whole squad going crazy, yeah, we back with it. Northern Cali going crazy, one sack winning. If you doubted us then, ain't no backspinning. This is real right here, ain't no catfishing. So tell me what you see now. Coming down the lane off the rebound. It's 9-16 now. Look towards the sky like the beam now. Tell them like the beam, like the beam now. You can tell them like the beam now. Tell them like the beam now. You can tell them like the beam now.
Like the beam now.
Like the beam now. You can tell them like the beam now. Tell them like the beam now. If you reppin' that Kings like the beam now. Sac proud, make sure everyone knows. Let me tell you how this thing really goes. Yeah, we travel deep, whether we home or on the road, we lit. You don't want that smoke, we the team of the year. We shaking things over here, don't doubt, we believe over here. We don't bleed over here. And let me just speak real clear, only deal with real kings over here. So tell me what you see now. Coming down the lane off the rebound. It's 9-16 now. Look toward the sky like the beam now. Tell them like the beam, like the beam now. You can tell them like the beam now. Tell them like the beam now. You can tell them like the beam now. Tell them like the beam, like the beam now. You can tell them like the beam now. Tell them like the beam now. If you reppin' that Kings like the beam now. Yeah, we pull up. And we hop out. Yeah, we pull up. And we hop out. Yeah, we pull up. And we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up. And we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up. And we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up. And we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up. And we hop out. Talking about some things you was not about.
What's up, guys? We're about to get this show started here shortly. Don't forget to smash up that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let us know what you're drinking in the chat.
You don't know me. Call the game, what's up now? They hating from the bus now. Been doing this T-Pain, drop the up down. Oh, I'm on the hunt now. Tell me what you want now. Yeah, I do my dance when you see me in the touchdown. Yeah, we pull up and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out.
Yeah, when we pulling up, my nigga, let me know. And if the haters hate, we finna let him go. Pull up, pop out, two-step, hit the torpedo. When we do our thing, homie, don't let your shorty go. Everywhere we go, we do the stupid dance. I've been doing this, and Soldier Boy taught y'all the Superman. Always showing love, we play the stupid jams. Hit you with them shots and got the kind of aim that Cupid has. We ain't never scared, we don't play about it. Keep the party going, give a damn what they say about it. Gotta keep it simple, this for everybody. Ladies and the homies, it's a function, we don't care about it. Flopping in the whip, got the speakers going crazy. Block party lit, family geeking, getting waved. Grannies to the uncles, to the nieces, to the babes. We gon' get it cracking like a weekend.
Yeah, we pull up and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah, we pull up and we hop out. Do our dance, then we bring the whole block out. Yeah. Back on my bull. Back on my cool. I'm turning it up. They feeling the heat, so they searching for pools. Tripping on me cause I'm doing my thing and they hoping that I'll be the fool. Taking the game and I'm screwing it up while these boys still searching and looking for tools. Playing it cool, faking it's who. Yeah, they look mad cause I'm breaking the rules. Breaking it loose when I'm breaking some news. Give me your pride and I'm breaking that too. They ain't ahead of us. They don't compare to us. They feeling the kick cause they hearing the change like I opened the register. Flexing on tracks cause this thing is not optional. Leg day is coming, I'm jumping the obstacles. Laughing at haters, we thinking it's comical. Yelling outside like we yelling out dominoes. Always be claiming they monsters. Boy, go get you a sponsor. All of that chatting, all of that acting, gon' mess around, get you an Oscar. They calling me Terrence, I hustle and flow. They all on my line cause I'm still in the vote. Your girl all on me cause she feeling the stroke. Make them say whoa when I'm getting my woe. Talking like I do not got it. You talking like your boy is not it. When you talk, all I hear is yappa, yappa, yada, 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 yada. Most of your favorites ain't dealing with me. Pouring it up like the end of the week. You don't let us in, we still in the keys. We coming from nothing and ending the streak. Aiming at throats and taking out knees. They feeling the pressure and know they can't breathe. Winning the races and taking the places and walking their stages like it's a degree. Feel it in your veins, it's a dope flow. Got the whole game in a chokehold. They taking too long, you can't see me now. Put them in boxes like photos. Packing the bags and hitting new land. I do what I want, they do what they can. All in their way, I'm messing up plans. I'm speaking the truth, I keep it a Grant. Waiting for Zell, never will fail. Waist looking slim, she eating her kale. I'm peeping the game and playing it well. She throwing it back like it's way to exhale. Come from the pain and I'm chasing no fame. I come up with morals, can't slander my name. Taking what's mine and grabbing the flame. Shooting my shot and yelling out game. Know what's real when I'm giving the feel. Can't look back when you turning the wheel. Go get a doctor, I'm giving the chills. Told them to get out, grab the key and they pill. I warn them that I am a factor. Clearing the way for this tractor. Got some new goals, never will fold. Came too far just to back up. Nah, this ain't what you used to. We ain't tripping on nobody, we just moved through. You couldn't keep up, cause my steps too long. It's time to wake them up, they have slept too long. Zell.
Welcome to Royal Rebounds TV with Calvin and Barry. Just two crazy fans of the Sacramento Kings and they sharing their opinion. So be sure that you subscribe. It's for the fans, by the fans. Whether you chilling on the couch or wildin' in the stands. For laid back conversations about the Kings, subscribe here. Staying down until we come up thinking this gon' be our year. We're here, drinking beer, talking about the Kings. Be sure you subscribe so you can hear that bell ring, yeah.
What's up, Kings fans and NBA fans? Welcome back to Royal Rebounds, the Sacramento Kings YouTube channel for fans by fans. Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome back into the show, and shout out to all our loyal viewers, all our loyal watchers out there, and everybody in the chat. If you're a Kings fan, hey, if you're a basketball fan, make sure you smash up that like button, hit that subscribe button. We are live after every single Kings game. And a lot of times when there's no Kings game. So we're here today. Apologize for the late notice. I know a bunch of people missed the show today because we didn't give them a ton of notice for this show. But, hey, we're here, and you can always rewatch it. Shout out to Jeff the Lefty here. But, Calvin, happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday, Barry. Good to be back, right? What's up, Jeff? Quick shout-out, Happy Mother's Day. We missed it. Of course, Mother's Day was last Sunday. Mom, love you. Happy Mother's Day, and Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there.
Yes, happy Mother's Day to all the moms. Calvin, I don't really know how I'm supposed to segment back from Mother's Day to the NBA playoffs. But you know who's not having a happy Mother's Day? If today was Mother's Day, and that would be the LA Lakers, because they just went down to the Denver Nuggets, and now they are down 2-0 heading back to LA. I want to talk about the West. I want to talk about the East. But, Kyle, let's start out with the LA Lakers.
This was the game, in my opinion, just watching, especially after game one, with how up and down that game was for both teams, really, but for the Lakers especially because they were on the losing side of it. This was the game that they had to get. You know, when you look at how they got a lot of production out of their role players. Hachimura had a great game, 21 points off the bench. Austin Reeves has 22 points. LeBron and AD were not their normal selves. They had a lead in this game in the second half, and they let it slip through their fingers. Jokic doesn't score a single point in the fourth quarter. I know Jamal Murray went crazy, but when you add all of that up together, and now you're down 0-2 going back home, this is not good news if you're the LA Lakers. Plus, now you got to worry about LeBron's ankle. He twists it at the end of the game. I would be very nervous if I was a Laker fan.
Shout out to EJ. I mean, Calvin, LeBron seems to get injured almost in every single game now. We saw him against the Warriors tweak the foot.
That happens when you get older.
Yeah, seemed to be fine. So I don't really know if
it didn't look like a really severe sprain to me. So I think he'll be okay. But I would bet on him having a big game 3.
Yeah, most likely.
I've never seen LeBron blow a dunk in my entire life. That was unbelievable. that was the layup. Still can't. Oh no, he went for the two-hand reverse dunk and he just threw it out of bounds. That's not that LeBron just doesn't do that. So
he's looking a little old. He misses that. He turns the ball over late twice, I believe, in this game. But on the bright side, and hey, this is a Kings channel, so we love to hate on the Lakers. But I'm gonna try and take off my bias cap here and just say, Calvin, they're heading back home. Yes, they lost 2 games, But nothing's really changed here, right? They got down big in the first game. They tweaked some things. They figured out how to get back into that game, which I thought gave them some momentum into today's game. Obviously didn't work out well for them. But they're heading back home. They win 2 games at home, and it's back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, they're certainly not out of it yet. And Denver is undefeated at home in the postseason this year anyway. It's a really hard place to go win.
It is.
The things that I would be worried about if I'm the Lakers, they didn't win in a shootout, right? They lost game 1, a high-scoring game. This game, much more their pace, much more their style. Couldn't pull that one out either. I already mentioned the fact that Jokic doesn't score in the fourth quarter. Big shout-out to Jamal Murray, who, by the way,
killed it.
4th career 20-point-plus fourth quarter in the playoffs. That's the most of any player in the last 25 years. He is built for those types of moments.
He's looking like bubble Jamal.
Yes. So, again, all of these things add up to you saying LeBron and AD have played a ton of minutes early in the first 2 games of this series. You obviously you're going to have to lean on them, and they're going to have to play big minutes for them to win a championship. But the altitude, all of that stuff, if these guys are A, not 100% healthy, but B, they're also gassed when they go back home. I think the Nuggets have a little bit more youth and maybe a deeper bench, at least an equal bench. So to be in an 0-2 hole right now for the Lakers is really not good news, considering all of that stuff that I just mentioned.
Sorry, I was just searching some Google images. For some reason, every time I see Jamal Murray, he reminds me of that sloth in Ice Age.
I don't see it, but
yeah, I don't know why. It just I see it every time I see him out on the court. I just think of Ice Age. But yeah, big performance for him. The dude's finally healthy, right? He had that major injury. Takes a while to get back. I mean, maybe you can be there on the court with your teammates, but you're not back. I think he's officially back now. He's playing incredibly, incredibly well. But like I said, the Lakers are heading home. They win 2 games. Series is tied. I mean, they could have won game 1. They were on a hell of a run.
They could have won this game too.
If Anthony Davis hits that 3 in the quarter in this game, it's tied. LeBron doesn't turn it over and make some of those mistakes. I mean, Nuggets made mistakes too. We saw Michael Porter Jr. What did he do? He dribbled the ball. He's on the sideline, throws the ball down, touches it.
Yeah, that was a very weird
play.
sequence. Well, once again, though, for the Lakers, it's all about Anthony Davis, man. I mean, their role players have played really, really well, not just in the postseason, but ever since the trade deadline, since they kind of reconstructed that team. LeBron's always going to give you, whether he has the same type of energy that he did 10 years ago or the ability to guard 94 feet for X amount of time. Maybe he doesn't have that anymore. He's still going to show up. AD cannot – they just can't afford for him to go 4 of 16 from the field. Like that against Jokic, that's a matchup he's got to take more advantage of offensively. I know the Nuggets are doing a good job of sending bodies at him and stuff like that. But again, that's not anything new for Anthony Davis. He's used to that. So he's got to play better offensively for them to win this series.
Yeah, and they need to make some threes, dude. 0 of 6 from three-point range from LeBron. He had a chance to tie the last game with a 3. Weird shot. Well, we can talk about that. 1 for 5 for D'Angelo Russell. And Dennis Schroeder, however you want to pronounce it, 0 of 3 from three-point range. And then Lonnie Walker, the big hero from the last series, 0 of 2 from three-point range. Definitely is an exciting series. I mean, you just minus away the fact that it's the Lakers. It's pretty exciting to look and say, hey, a number 7 seed in the West, team that played in the play-in game, has a chance to go to the NBA Finals. And then in the Eastern Conference, you have a team that just went up 1-0, another team that played a play-in game. They're the 8th seed, and that's the Miami Heat. I know everyone wants to see a rematch of the bubble, right, of Heat, Lakers, see if it's a fluke or not. But, hey, we're seeing the same 4 teams that made it to the conference finals in the bubble playing again now. We'll see how it plays off. Calvin, give me your final thoughts on this Lakers-Nuggets series. Who's going to the finals? And then I want to switch over to the East.
Well, I'm still taking Denver. I picked them to win the series before it started. I think I was kind of expecting it to be 1-1 going back to L.A., again, doesn't mean that it's over. Doesn't mean the Lakers can't win 2 games on their home floor. But I still think the Nuggets win this in 6 or 7 games. It might be going down to 6 now that they've got the early 2-0 lead, but I just think they're going to outlast Denver. And I'm talking to you about it before the series started. KCP and Bruce Brown are the difference makers for me in this series because they're able to guard the Lakers guards who had a huge series against Memphis and against the Warriors. You know, you mentioned Dennis Schroeder, D'Angelo Russell. Those guys were eaten in the first 2 rounds. It's not as easy now that they've got to go up against a guy who's a really great defender and also won a title with the Lakers a couple years ago. So he knows LeBron, how that team works, all of that stuff. To me, that's the difference right now between these 2 rosters is those 2 players being able to be really effective defensively and big-time shot makers offensively. And Bruce Brown, underrated playmaker.
Shout out to the hair for joining in here. And great defensive play at the end of the game by Bruce Brown, stealing it from LeBron James. For me, this is a tough series. I don't know if it goes 7 games. I think one team is going to have to win a road game. I think whoever wins the first road game is probably going to win this series. If I'm the Lakers, I'm hoping Mo Bamba will be back sooner rather than later. He was another big acquisition for them at the trade deadline. Lanky guy, big. And I know that Jokic struggles, and saying he struggles with size is I mean, dude struggles and gets a triple-double, 20-something point triple-double. But I do think that having Mo Bamba out there for the Lakers would help them slow down the Joker. So we'll see what happens there. Ninja Style, good to see you. Alfie, man, good to see you. And Brian is here. Wow, guys, look at your new little avatars next to you guys. It looks great. Looks really good.
Moving
Bouncer is here. All right. Let's move on, Calvin. I'm done talking about the Lakers.
Go Nuggets.
Go Nuggets. That'll be exciting, dude. First NBA Finals for the Denver Nuggets. That would be
it's wild.
amazing.
And for them to advance to the NBA Finals and beat the Lakers is a really significant thing, too. They've made the Western Conference Finals 5 times. They've lost to the Lakers 4 of those 5 times in the Western Conference Finals. So it would be a big-time win for the franchise.
We even saw George Karl in attendance today. So shout out to him. Would definitely be exciting. Okay, let's move over to the Eastern Conference, Calvin. Game 1 was yesterday. And at halftime of that game was the NBA Draft Lottery, which we'll talk about a little bit later on the show. Some surprising things happened. Calvin, I don't want to gloat, but I believe I told you that the Spurs were getting the number 1 pick like a year ago.
I believe it was something you mentioned.
I'll have to pull up the footage. But who's Victor really going to play with? I don't know. We'll definitely talk about that. But let's talk about the game yesterday. Miami goes up 1-0 on the Boston Celtics. Boston was at home. They're the number 2 seed. So you have a number 2 seed left in the East and a number 1 seed left in the West, both playing against 7th and 8th seeds in the conference finals, which is pretty amazing. But Miami sneaks through here. I mean, many people thought that Miami was going to be dead after they lost Tyler Hero. No Hero, no problem for the Miami Heat. They win game 1, Calvin. Tell us about it.
2 words. All you got to say. Jimmy Buckets. Like, I'm serious, man. This guy is the truth. One of my favorite players. Had just an incredible game. Oh, no. Paul Pierce
he's the truth.
Is not the truth compared to Jimmy Butler. And don't let him tell you otherwise. I mean, Jimmy's just been amazing. Like, his performance in the playoffs, you know, the last like 2 or 3 years, the legend, you know, continues to grow, and he had another phenomenal game. That absolute dagger of a 3 where the ball bounces all around the rim, pops out, comes straight down. I mean, there's just no more back-breaking shot than that. Maybe the Kawhi Leonard shot that beats Philadelphia a couple of years ago in Game 7. But, man, he's just been incredible. And then, you know, other guys have really stepped up. You mentioned Tyler Hero being out. Gabe Vincent has been really good. Max Strus has been really good. Even Duncan Robinson, you know, remembers how to shoot the ball. Did you see him pass it to himself off of Bam's head?
Yeah.
In Game 1? That was great. Great play.
It's crazy, dude.
Heads up play. But, I mean, look, it comes down. I think this series is going to be a long series as well. And, yes, this is an 8 seed playing the Boston Celtics. This is not a normal 8 seed though.
Yeah.
Team that was just in the NBA Finals a few years ago, has one of the best players in the world. Who, you know, he even said respectively or respectfully, I am better than Jason Tatum, even though Jason Tatum called himself one of the best in the world, right? So I think this is going to be a long series as well. For Boston, you've got to hit outside shots. We talk all year long about the Kings being a live by the 3, die by the 3 team. The Boston Celtics are absolutely a live by the 3, die by the 3 team. They take a ton. In fact, they were, I think, second in the NBA in 3-point field goals attempted per game. They did not shoot well in this game 1, and Miami shot 51% from 3. So that third quarter is what broke it open for them, and Miami never looked back.
Yeah, man, I'm just looking at this Miami roster, and I'm like, dude, how do they just find these guys? They just find these gems. I'm talking about Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, guys that just come
Caleb
out of
Martin, all these guys
come out of
undrafted
nowhere
players,
and become incredibly good players on a good basketball team. Yes, Jimmy Butler had 35 in game 1, but a lot of big contributions from some of these other guys. Also, Calvin, I got to give a shout out to my guy Kevin Love, a guy that I was big on at the trade deadline. I wanted the Kings to make a move for him. It didn't happen. He went to Miami, and he's paying dividends for the Miami Heat. He's really helping them space the floor a lot, and I think he's got a lot left. I see a couple people here just joining in here in the chat. Phoenix, good to see you here. Tony Yayo, good to see you as well. We got a question here from Tony Calvin. Says, can Bob Myers replace Monty McNair? McNair is a Morey guy, and I don't trust them. Vivek should throw the cash at Bob Myers. Bold statement, Calvin. What are your thoughts?
It is a bold statement. I mean, Bob Myers definitely, you know, his resume speaks for itself. But I don't know why you'd want to get rid of Monty McNair yet, just because you don't trust him. I mean, I'd say that the work that he's done with the team so far should put a little bit of trust in you that he is the right man for the job, or at least he's, you know, building something for this team, for the franchise. So I wouldn't be ready to cut him loose just yet.
Yeah, I'm not cutting him loose at all. I trust Monty. I trust Monty a lot, Calvin. I'd probably do a trust fall with Monty McNair behind me.
Yeah,
I think I would.
Yeah.
Because I mean, dude, what is the famous saying? The proof is in the pudding.
Proof is in the pudding.
Pudding's pretty damn good this season, Calvin.
It was delicious.
It was some delicious pudding. So I know there's always that shiny new thing that you want. The grass is greener on the other side. But I'm okay off Bob Myers. I want my players to be punished when they assault others in practice. But hey, I'm going to leave that right there, and let's get back to this Miami Heat Boston Celtics series. So, Calvin, Miami takes game 1 in Boston, which is a really, really tough place to win. How do you see game 2 going? And that's tomorrow, right?
It is tomorrow. I think the Celtics will bounce back. Overall, I think they'll shoot better from 3. I mean, Tatum still gave you 30. Their rotation's really shortened up a bit. I'm interested to see if maybe they throw like Grant Williams out there in game 2, who didn't play in game 1. You know, a reliable defender, rebounder, and a pretty good corner 3 shooter as well. Could definitely help a little bit. They've been trying to go to that bigger lineup again with Robert Williams and Al Horford. And Horford, who's, you know, been either absolutely on fire or, you know, completely MIA offensively.
He's looking
He
old,
did not
too.
have a great game 1 either. So I think the Celtics will bounce back and take game 2.
Okay. Yeah, Al Horford's looking pretty old. How old is that guy? I feel like he's been old for like
36?
10 years. Yeah, wow. Turns 37 next month. I feel like that dude's been old for like 5 years already. But yeah. I mean, I picked Boston. I picked the Lakers, both to end up in the NBA Finals. We'll see what happens. If Miami, and don't get me wrong, I would prefer Miami to be in the NBA Finals. I would prefer Denver to be in the NBA Finals. I would absolutely love that. We'll see what happens. I, like many Heat fans, were very disappointed after the Tyler Hero injury and kind of counted them out. And I think a lot of teams did that as well. And maybe that's a little bit part of their success was teams kind of counting them out a little bit, and Miami's just punching people first.
Yeah, I mean, they had a very up and down regular season, dealt with a lot of injuries. This team knows what it takes this time of year, right? I mean, this core group that they've got together is still intact from going to the NBA Finals. So, and when Jimmy Butler is playing like playoff Jimmy, I mean, they can beat just about anybody. I see here Tony Yeo says they're under-talented. I'm not sure I really agree with that. I mean, they've got some great players. Phoenix pointed out Bam Adebayo, maybe one of the most underrated and undervalued players in the entire NBA. Phoenix right on cue. They were the number 1 seed last year. They had the best record in the Eastern Conference. This is not a under-talented team by any stretch.
And they lost Oladipo, too. Someone pointed out Oladipo and Hero. Yeah, like you were saying earlier, this is no ordinary 8th seed.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, a lot of people thought the Detroit Pistons in 2003, 2004 were under-talented.
Yeah.
All they did was beat the best team in the world, the Lakers, to win the title. So it's not necessarily, the star power that's on your team. I mean, yes, that helps for sure. But it's a team game, right? And the best team wins.
Yeah, shout out to
7-game
Dr.
series.
Tanvir here for joining in. Good to see you, Tanvir. And that's the beauty of basketball, right? There's a reason they play the games. The number next to your team name doesn't really matter in the middle of a game, right? It's whether you can win or lose that specific game, and that's always exciting. So we'll see what happens here. Are you still rocking with Miami here? Or are you going Boston?
I picked Boston to win the series before it started. I'm rooting for Miami though. Yeah. I really am.
I'm kind of in the same boat.
More Jimmy Butler. I'm all for.
Himmy.
Sign me up. Himmy. Yes.
I mean, dude, I love Jimmy Butler, but it like makes you kind of ask that question is like, how much can one guy do, right?
We'll find out.
And that's, and I mean,
we'll
we've talked about it over and over, right? In like, okay, if you have a certain guy, he can win you a game, right? You have another tier player, he can win you a series. Mm-hmm. But then can he win you multiple series and an NBA Finals? And that's something we haven't seen out of Jimmy Butler, right? Yes, they made it to the finals in the bubble, which some people call a fluke. I'm not one of those people. But can he do it again? And can he win this time? Is what everyone wants to know.
We'll find out. I mean, again, as great as he has been, they haven't gotten this far by just him. They've had some really big performances out of a lot of key players. Bam has been really great, even though he doesn't put up big numbers points wise offensively. He completely changes the game defensively every time he's out there, and the 3-point shooting has been ridiculously good for Miami since the playoffs started. So as long as that continues, and Kyle Lowry moving him to the bench ended up being a good move for this team. He's played much better. Yeah. So if they continue to get that outside shooting from a lot of these other guys, Jimmy Butler is good enough to go and get you a game or two within a series, which might be all it takes for you to win.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's true. And something that we've talked about a lot on this channel, Calvin, is that it's not just the players, it's the franchise, it's the coaching, it's the management. This is one of the best run franchises in the NBA from the top all the way to the bottom.
Without a doubt.
You have one of the best coaches in the NBA, one of the best GMs, and, of course, a bunch of amazing players. Jimmy Butler fits this team perfectly in the work ethic
He
aspect.
sure does.
And
he's making all of these guys around him better, too.
Yeah. So. And they have to practice against him every day in practice. You could ask Minnesota how that was. But anyways, speaking of coaches, Eric Spoelstra, one of the best coaches in the NBA, a championship coach. He was talking about a bunch of these coaches that just got fired recently, Calvin. Can you name them all?
Doc Rivers, Mike Budenholzer,
Okay. Yep.
Monty Williams,
Yep.
Nick Nurse. I think that might be it.
Yeah, and I think every single one of those.
I guess I should say, because I know Phoenix is going to come in here pretty soon, Nick Nurse wasn't necessarily fired, but there is a coaching vacancy in Toronto.
Same thing. And Calvin, every single one of those coaches has been to the NBA Finals.
They have.
Doc Rivers won
A couple of them have won it.
Yeah, he won a championship. I mean, he hasn't been in the finals in a minute, right?
Yeah.
But he won a championship with Boston. Coach Bud won a title just a few years ago. Monty just went to the finals. What was that? 2021? And then our last coach, Nick Nurse, just won a title with them. 2019. So that's pretty amazing. Let's shift gears here and kind of talk about some of these coaches. I mean, what are your thoughts on these guys all getting fired?
I think it just speaks to, the culture of professional sports, what it's all been elevated to today. I mean, it's when you have a team, that you think is a championship contender, you've got to get the job done. Otherwise, changes are going to be made. And the first change that gets made is almost always the head coach.
Yeah.
So some teams have held on to their guys a little bit longer than others. But I think if you look at, all of these franchises, it's not surprising. I mean, Philadelphia, they gave Doc, I would say, a fair chance, having not being able to make the conference finals, losing series the way that they did, being up 3-2 in this most recent one. It still is crazy to me that, and this is not all because of Doc Rivers by any means, but it's still crazy.
It is.
No, it's
How
not.
How many series has he lost?
He's blown 7 3-2 series leads. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. Their injuries definitely play a huge role in that. It is not. I will definitely not pin that all on him.
I will,
but it is improbable that you can't win one game.
Yeah.
Up 3-2 for 7 consecutive series. It's amazing. So
it really is. And I mean, just the amount of coaches that are recycled by these teams is just, it's mind blowing. I mean, the Kings, they're on a first-year head coach for them. I'm looking here at the standings, right? Milwaukee, who was the number 1 seed, they just fired their coach. Miami, the 8th seed, Eric Spoelstra, he's been there for a long time, one of the remaining coaches. Cleveland, they just have a new coach, right? They just added one last season, I believe.
I think this was his second year there.
Bickerstaff? JB Bickerstaff, so second year for him. New York's got Thibodeau.
Yeah.
I don't think he's being fired. You got Philadelphia, Doc Rivers just got fired. Brooklyn's been through, 2 head coaches in 2 years now.
They have.
Boston is on a new head coach.
Yes.
2 years in a row of new head coaches. Yes. Atlanta, they just lost their coach too, right?
Midway through the year.
Okay.
It fired Nate McMillan, hired Quinn Snyder.
Then you go to Denver. Coach is still there. What about Minnesota?
Coach is still there. I believe he's going into his 3rd year there.
Then you have Phoenix. They just fired their head coach. Then you got Ty Lue with the Clippers, still there. Sacramento, new head coach. Golden State, obviously still there. And then the Lakers, brand new head coach this year.
Yep.
And Memphis.
I mean, this happens every year, though.
Yeah.
What's different about this offseason, as opposed to a bunch of them, at least in recent memory, the level or the pedigree of the available head coaches has been risen a bunch of notches. Like, to think that all of these guys, Monty Williams, Budenholzer, Nick Nurse, even Doc Rivers, that's a lot of coaching prowess there to be available all at the same time.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of Nick Nurse, we actually have Coach Nick here live on Twitter Spaces. Nick, how are you?
What's up? How are you doing today?
What's up, dude? I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Good. Hey, well, unfortunately, the Kings lost Game 7, but next year we're gonna have to be ready. We're gonna have to say, fire the laser.
Fire the laser, dude. Nick, I don't think I've even talked to you since we lost Game 7. What are you doing with all this free time you have now that the Kings aren't playing?
I'm watching the playoffs.
Okay. Have you picked up any new hobbies or skills?
Probably working the River Cats.
Okay. That sounds like fun. How's that going?
Pretty good.
Are the River Cats winning?
Well,
Sounds very excited about it, Calvin.
I'm not sure, but
You don't know?
You know?
You don't know what their record is?
no.
Nick, okay, what do you do for the Rivercast? Can you describe to me what a normal work day for you looks like?
I work in the warehouse only Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Tuesdays, Thursdays in the
Oh, at the
warehouse. What do you do?
warehouse,
Are you a forklift driver?
No, I do work. I work in the warehouse. I bag guys.
Okay. That's fun. So you don't get to watch the games while you're working.
I don't only work during the day. I only get off at 11. I only start at 7:30 a.m. Get off at 11:30.
Okay, that sounds like fun. Dude, Alfie Man just brought something up that I totally forgot about, Nick, and that's we saw you on TV talking to a reporter before the Kings game. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah,
You had just got off the bus and they came and interviewed you?
yeah.
How was that? You're famous now.
Yeah, it's because no pizza.
No pizza? Are you I'm sure you get stopped everywhere you go now. Are you signing autographs for people or you don't sign autographs?
No.
You're not a man of the people. You're just no, don't sign autograph. No photos, please.
No.
Okay. Well,
Hey,
I'm bummed that we didn't get to see you when we were in Sacramento.
Yeah, can you put the song on? Fire the laser.
Fire the laser!
Oh, but the purple beam is lit. Light it up.
I'll light the beam for you, dude. Why not? Why not? I think it
Why
looks
not
sweet.
light it?
So, Nick, I want to get kind of back to the show here, but you said you've been watching the playoffs. What do you think's going to happen? Who do you have facing off in the NBA Finals?
And winning.
Lakers are 2-0. So I think it's gonna be Lakers.
Oh, you're a Lakers fan now.
I'm going for them because they're in California team. It's the only California team there is.
Okay.
Nick, you know they're down 0-2, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What about in the East?
Well,
Who cares about the East?
in the East, I don't know.
You like Miami or Boston?
I like. Well,
Nick, you got to be careful picking the Lakers now that you're a Kings
Yeah.
media
He doesn't know anybody
celebrity.
else. He doesn't know anybody else.
You can't
either.
pick the Lakers to win the title.
then it's got to be Miami then.
Okay, I like
There
that
you go.
answer.
All right.
So the Miami Heat are going to be facing the LA Lakers in the finals, and they beat the Lakers. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
And the final score?
Well, I'm not sure.
The final score of what? The
Final score of
clinching
what?
game?
Yeah. Calvin, what is it?
114-99.
There you go.
Hey, are you guys gonna be at this? Are you guys gonna be doing the pre? Are you gonna do the show during the after the draft watch party?
Yes, we're gonna.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna do an
Definitely.
NBA draft party for sure. That'll be a lot of fun.
You'll be at your studio.
Oh yeah, we'll
Yes,
be here.
we will.
Even though it's gonna be an interesting draft because we're gonna have to wait a long time for the Kings to make a pick.
Who do we pick for the draft lottery?
Who do you
We're not in
want
the
them to
We're
take?
not in the draft lottery, Nick. We're at pick 24 or something.
How come we're not in the draft lottery?
Because they were good.
We made the playoffs, bro.
Yeah.
The
why not
lottery's
make
only for the
playoffs?
teams that suck.
Why not make the playoffs?
Why not? Who do you want the Kings to take?
I'm not sure.
Right now, they're projected at 24 to take a guy named Kobe.
Where's he go
Yeah?
to school, Barry?
He goes to Michigan, Calvin.
He sure does.
You like him?
I do like him a lot. I think he's not ready for the NBA yet, but hey, that's what guys do. They come out too early now. So,
all right, we'll definitely talk about that. But Nick, hopefully you'll join us for the draft party. That'd be a lot of fun, and hopefully the Miami Heat can pull it off and win the championship this year. You got any last words for the royal family out there, Nick?
No, well, I do want to say, it's gonna be fun.
it's going to be fun.
Dude, appreciate you. Love you as always, Nick. We'll see you again soon.
And the Lakers are 2-0 against Denver. They're playing Denver. They're 2-0 right now.
They're 0-2.
0-2.
Wait, Lakers or Denver?
Denver has won both games so far.
Oh, wow.
But doesn't mean your pick can't be correct.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right, Nick. Well, thanks for joining in, man. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right, later.
See you, buddy.
See you, Nick.
Somebody's got to get that guy some caffeine or something, Calvin.
He's been working long shifts at the warehouse.
Yeah, it's Thursday. Long day at work
Yeah.
for Nick. Hey, he's working hard, though. I know he's a hard worker. I could tell.
Mr. Bouncer.
All right. Anything else you want to wrap up here in terms of – sorry, I got to turn this AC back on. I don't know why I'm wearing this hoodie. But anyways, any last thoughts on, like, the coaching carousel that's happening currently with the NBA?
Just that I think it's notable, how many quality championship level or championship winning coaches are available in the free market right now. You don't see that happen very often.
Could you
all at the same time?
Could you
basically
name me the last head coach in the NBA that quit?
That quit?
Yeah. Because I think I know who it is.
That quit?
And didn't get fired or traded, but quit.
Nick Nurse, according to Phoenix.
No, that is not true. Is that true? I don't think that's true.
I'm not sure I would have the answer for that.
I don't know if I'm correct or not. I'm kind of going off of some memories, and maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But I'm gonna throw the Utah Jazz coach in there, Sloan.
Jerry Sloan?
Yeah. I think he quit after the Darren Williams thing.
I think he did retire on his own, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, retire, quit. You know what I mean.
Okay. I thought you were talking about like a coach that walked out of, a middle of a season or, still had like 3 years left on their
I'm talking about
deal.
The last coach who it was their decision. They were in control of them leaving the franchise they were at.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, outside of that, Phil Jackson is the only one I could think of.
Yeah.
And that was a long time ago. That was 20 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a coach, you usually
Almost 15
don't
years ago.
get the opportunity to walk away when you want to, right?
Quinn Snyder
Snyder did resign.
Hey, maybe there's a pattern going
There
with
you
the
go.
Jazz.
Yeah.
Who do you think is the next head coach to get canned here in the NBA? I mean, there's 4 teams left.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say that Miami's not going to fire their head coach.
I don't think any of these franchises are
the
going to fire
Lakers,
their head coach.
Denver, everybody's happy at the moment.
Boston is an interesting situation just because of what's happened to them over the past couple of years. But I still would be surprised if they fired Mazzulla after, one chance, really.
Yeah.
When he's kind of
if you were to name a team,
reassured them throughout
would
the
it
course
be?
of the season. I'm not sure you're going to see another coach get fired.
What about Memphis?
Maybe New York, but I don't think Memphis fires Taylor Jenkins.
No?
No.
Okay. Well, speaking of Memphis, if you've been living under a rock for the past few days,
Or months.
there's been some news happening in Memphis, Calvin. Can you remind everyone what's going on with the Memphis Grizzlies?
Well, I'm sure everybody's pretty well, if you have a social media account, you can't not see it anywhere. But John Morant, again, goes on Instagram Live and is seen holding what appears to be a gun, is suspended immediately.
Yeah.
And the length of the suspension is still in question, but many people feel like it's going to be a very long suspension, maybe half the year or more.
So here's my thing. And I feel like one of my biggest problems in life is the fact that I am able to see multiple sides of a story a lot of times, which makes it hard for me to make a decision sometimes. But it's like, from one side, it's like guns are legal in the United States. It's his off season. He wasn't at a facility. He wasn't pointing at anybody. He wasn't doing any of this stuff. He flashed a gun, or he was singing, rapping with a gun in his hand on his friend's social media account. He didn't break the law that I know of. What's the big deal?
Well, JJ Redick, I don't know if you saw it, but he had a very passionate response or message to this on First Take, I believe it was the other day, saying exactly what you said. You know, he has not broken a single law.
Yeah, he's 23
to this point that we know of. He's very young and impressionable. And then he proceeded to, you know, give all these examples of people who are in public office who pass laws, you know, related to guns and all the mass shootings that, you know, may or may not happen as a result of it. And there's no consequence for those guys who are grown men. I think that there is definitely some truth to what JJ said. However, this is where I would disagree with him. It's plain and simple. The mass shootings in this country are a major, major problem, right? And young people don't look up to congressmen. They look up to NBA players and rappers and all this stuff. So for somebody who is that big of a public figure already, even though it's at a young age, I'm not saying, you know, take his contract away and make sure he never plays a game in the NBA again. That, I think, would be too harsh. But I do think that you have to make an example out of people in those spotlights, because people do look up to them.
Yeah.
Yes, you can argue that all the politics and laws and all that stuff needs to be changed if you want to. But I'll tell you this right now, no one knows what that congressman in Alabama or Arkansas's name is that's, you know, passing gun laws or whatever the case may be. They all know who John Morant is. Yeah. So it is a big deal. I think that the NBA does need to do something pretty substantial here, because he's got to realize that, you know, whether or not he likes it, you got to grow up fast here. You're not a kid anymore, because you're a superstar on a global level, you know, with the NBA.
Maybe he feels like he's growing up fast now, and that's why he has a gun, because he's a grown-up. Kids aren't allowed to have guns, Calvin.
Yeah. That's true. They are not. But they all see John Morant carrying one. They might want to go and get one.
Yeah, dude, I'm so mixed on this issue, because for one, it's like, for me, the first thing I thought of when I heard, not this incident, but the first incident, and yes, Jeff, we're going to talk Kings here in a little bit. We're going to go over, you know, the mock draft and draft lottery and all that stuff, where we will talk about the Kings. But to finish up this subject, so when the nightclub, there's so many incidents, dude. I got to be like more specific. When the nightclub incident happened, when I saw that, all I could think of was, wow, this makes the other things that we heard about involving guns that were proven to be not true or whatever more likely to be true in my mind, right?
Certainly seems like it, yeah.
And so then when this incident happened, I kind of was thinking the same thing, where I'm like, wow, this is multiple times now. Like, I'm seeing a pattern. I'm really good with patterns, dude. I like patterns. And I'm like, I'm seeing a fucking pattern here of this guy. And no, flashing your gun in the car while you're rapping is not illegal that I know of, but pointing a gun at team members outside the arena, flashing a laser on them is illegal. Yeah. Confronting a kid at your house with a gun and beating him up is illegal. Yeah. Confronting a mall security officer with a gun is probably illegal. And all these incidents, the common denominator is John Morant and a gun. And so I don't know if the NBA can really do anything in terms of legal-wise that he broke any laws or anything, but I'm sure as hell they have a conduct detrimental to the team.
Absolutely.
Or an image or some kind of personal responsibility clause that players need to follow. Yeah. And that's
not
really
only
what you
that,
need to watch.
Nike as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. He just signed the deal with Nike. We saw what happened to Kyrie Irving. Kyrie didn't do anything illegal, and he got dropped, right? For something, in my mind, which is way, way smaller than this issue that's currently ongoing. But we'll see what happens. I mean, for me, Calvin, at my work, there's a personal conduct policy of things you have to do. One of them is you got to tuck in your shirt. I hate tucking in my shirt. I don't tuck it in. Will I get fired one day? Maybe. But I'm not going to tuck in my shirt. I'm kind of putting it on them. And that is what John Moran is doing to the NBA in this situation.
Definitely.
Is he's like, I'm going to live my life. I'm going to be me. I'm going to do my stuff. And Chat GPT is going to apologize for me.
Yeah.
And you guys are going to have to deal with it. I'm paid, right? And it's funny because I don't want to like say these are the same or anything like that, but it's like you look at the deal that Kanye had, right? And he's like, oh, I'm a billionaire. I have FU money. I can do whatever I want. And then as soon as he started acting out, those deals were canceled. They were done. He's worth a lot of money now, but he's not a billionaire anymore. Ja's kind of in the same situation, right? He just signed this huge deal, but he hasn't made that money yet. He still has to follow the rules, right? They could void the contract.
They could. I still don't think that happens, at least not yet. But it's a lot of money to invest in somebody to just void that contract right away.
What would you do if you were the Grizzlies?
That's tough, man. I mean, look, I think the Grizzlies have to. The NBA is probably going to come in with a stronger or stricter punishment for him than whatever the Grizzlies do.
So you sit back and you let the NBA deal with it?
I think you have to try to make it seem like you are beat them to the punch a little bit, right? I mean, still suspend him and, you know, force him back into counseling or whatever the, you know, X, Y, and Z is for it, and then allow the NBA to say, okay, you know, the Grizzlies are taking this issue seriously. Do we think that it's serious enough? Should there be any more further repercussions for it? But I don't think if you're the Grizzlies that you just sit back and do nothing and wait to see how it plays out.
Another weird or interesting point for me is when the first nightclub incident happened, we get an apology. John Moran says, I need better ways to deal with my stress, right? Did he look stressed out in the recent video to you, Calvin?
No, not at all.
Look stressed out to me.
He seemed very himself.
Yeah, very happy, very comfortable.
Yeah.
So I really don't know what is going to happen. It's going to be pretty interesting. Whether they void his contract, I'm not really quite sure. Whether the NBA steps in and says, this is a half a season. I think he gets half a season minimum.
Oh, yeah, I think so, too.
Could be a full season like we saw with Gilbert Arenas.
Yeah.
Yes, he wasn't in the locker room, but, like, there's how many incidents now that have happened. And
I don't think it'll be a full season, but more than 30 games probably.
And then what do you do if you're Memphis? Do you say, okay, well, we're just going to fight our asses off, and then when Ja returns, hopefully he doesn't flash another gun on social media and we can try and make it to the finals? Or
Yeah. Phoenix has a good comment here about probationary period, and if he violates anything, the contract is voided.
I mean, I thought that maybe he would have had a conversation the first time with Adam Silver, and Adam Silver would have been like, yo, this can't happen again.
Yeah.
And if it does, this is what's going to happen. But at the same time, if that conversation already happened, why haven't we seen the punishment, Calvin? Why is the NBA dragging their feet here?
Well, I don't think they had anything, you know, actually in writing or, you know, it was more of just we don't want to see this happen again. You know, you seem to see how serious this is.
Yeah, they didn't think it was going to happen.
Exactly. So now it's, you know, he's kind of the boy who cried wolf a little bit at this point. So if it happens again, man, it'll be really, really interesting. But yeah, not an actual probationary period for anything. I think.
I think if I'm Memphis, and this is the hardest thing, man. They got the 25th pick in the draft coming up. If I'm Memphis, I don't know, dude. I'm going to talk to the NBA about potentially voiding his contract. Or
I think you don't do that right away.
Maybe I get like maybe he doesn't count towards my salary cap this year since he's going to be gone, and I can bring in another player.
Well, you don't know how many games he's going to be suspended yet.
If he misses half the year. Yeah, I don't know. That's tough. I'm probably going to ask for a draft pick if I'm suspending him. Yeah. But hey, sorry, Alfie, man. Really sorry about your nephew. But yeah, we can move on. Hopefully this issue gets resolved, and hopefully we don't see any more similar issues with other players or with Ja, because it's like, how many times, dude? Fool me once, fool me twice? Yeah. I don't know. Let's talk about the NBA draft. The lottery was yesterday. Calvin, you want to announce what these who landed the top few picks here?
Well, we all know the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes goes to the San Antonio Spurs.
Or they taking Scoot?
They're not taking Scoot.
Okay.
It's way too. Tony Parker is from France. Wembanyama has like a picture of him wearing Tony Parker's jersey as a kid after they won. He's all pumped. This stuff. It just makes way. It's obvious they're going to take him. Charlotte gets number 2.
Yep.
Just missing out on the first pick again. But they've actually done pretty well when selecting number 2. Alonzo Mourning was second overall. The big winner to me is Portland. LaMelo Ball was number 2.
Yep.
Big winner is Portland, right? You get a top 3 pick, and you can use that as leverage. Somebody's going to want to trade up.
Yeah, they said they're trading it.
Yeah. And now you're going to get, potentially another really star player to pair with Damian Lillard. So I think Portland, aside from, getting number 1 and being able to draft Victor, Portland was probably the second, the team that came out second best in this.
Yeah, they moved up 2 spots here. Houston gets the 4th pick, and the big loser of the entire draft lottery is the Detroit Pistons. Not only do they have Marvin Bagley on their team, but they also now have the 5th pick, Calvin. Worst record in the NBA, 5th pick in the draft.
Yep.
That's
5th
tough.
consecutive season that the team with the worst pick does not get the number 1 pick.
That is absolutely wild. I see a couple guys here, obviously Victor Wembanyama, Scoot Henderson. A lot of people are talking about Anthony Black, who we got to see play here in Maui. Grady Dick, big fan of his from Kansas. Nick Smith Jr., also from Arkansas, was injured when they were here in town. Chris Murray, Keegan's twin brother, will also be in this draft. Who do you think is going to be the best player from this draft outside of Victor Wembanyama? Because I know I wasn't going to give you too easy of a question.
Thank you. That's a really tough question to answer. I mean, obviously, you can scout all you want. You really don't
Scout
know.
or Scoot?
Scout or Scoot, both of them. You can do all of that, all your homework and all that stuff, and have a pretty good feeling about a lot of these guys. But depending on which franchise they go to, what the team does with them in their first couple of years, the talent they surround them with, all that stuff, how they develop those guys, you're looking at very, very far into the future predicting. I mean, Brandon Miller really has the total package, right? Like that guy is built to play in the NBA today with his size, his length, his shooting ability from the outside, defensive potential. He's got a chance to be a really, really good player. I like Scoot Henderson a lot as a prospect too. For a guy his age, to already be built like he is, he's like a fullback or a running back.
6'2", 195.
Yeah, and all muscle. Really is physically ready to play right now. I love Villanova players. I think that the track record with Jay Wright's program, even though he's not there anymore, but the way that they develop players and get them ready to play in the NBA, you can look back at a long list of guys who are really, really excelling at the pro level that have come out of that program. So Cam Whitmore is definitely a guy that would be on my list for, potential NBA career. It's going to be interesting. There's a lot of guys like the Thompson twins who are very physically gifted. The question is, how will it translate playing overtime elite to the NBA? Can they make the next kind of jump? But I think I like Brandon Miller as a player a lot, and I like Cam Whitmore There's a lot of good players in this draft, though. Even a guy like
Anthony
Nick
Black.
Smith, Anthony Black, yes. Even Nick Smith Jr., his teammate, who missed a good portion of the season this year. That guy was a top 3 projected pick when the season began. So, when the college season began. So, there's potentially a lot of good players in this class.
Yeah. You mentioned Brandon Miller. He's projected number 2 right now. Scoot Henderson, number 3. Yeah. That'd be crazy, right? Hi, my name's Scott. I'm here to scout Scoot.
Yeah.
That'd be really tough. All right, let's talk about the Sacramento Kings. They currently are projected at the 24th pick unless they trade up or trade down, Calvin. And they're projected taking your guy Kobe from Michigan at pick
lefty,
number 24.
another lefty.
I know a lot of people want the Kings to take Chris Murray. He's projected at 22 in this mock draft. Who do you want the Kings to take pick number 24?
I think they've got a bunch of pretty good options here. There should be a lot of wing players, forwards available late in the first round. The question is going to be, does anybody try to jump up, into the late teens to take somebody that you might have your eye on that goes a little bit earlier than expected? But, the last time we had this discussion, I think the same names you're going to hear come up continuously. Maxwell, I'm blanking on his last name. Lewis, is it, from Pepperdine?
Yep.
Colby Jones from Xavier. Kobe Buffkin, again, is a guy that I personally think would do himself a lot of good to go back to school for another year and continue to develop his game. But he had a breakout season when Jet Howard, who was their best player, went down with an injury in the middle of the year. If Chris Murray is there, I think it would make sense for a lot of reasons for the Kings to consider him as well. You just don't. It's hard enough to kind of plan if you're like in the top 10 or so. You pretty much have a good idea of what picks 1, 2, maybe even 3 will be. After that, it starts to get a little murky, though.
Would you rock a Grady Dick jersey?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah? Okay.
For sure.
Okay, just curious.
He's not going to be there at 24.
Oh, yeah, he's projected to go to Dallas, I believe, with pick number 10. Do you think the Kings could be better off maybe trading this pick?
Yeah, it depends. It depends on who they would get for it, right?
Yeah,
I think you could definitely justify trading this pick for a bunch of players, but the question is, I wouldn't trade this pick for somebody that's going to just, again, be thrown into the end of the bench rotation and battling it out with, Terrence Davis and all these other guys for minutes.
Yeah.
Kessler Edwards, all that stuff. But
in Phoenix, HB is expiring, so we'll see what happens with him. I want to talk about Sasha here a little bit. I know a lot of Kings fans are very, very excited about him. He was named the 2022-2023 EuroLeague MVP. The Kings do have his rights. He's talked about potentially coming to Sacramento. Could help out the Kings. What are your thoughts on Sasha Vezenkov?
Another excellent shooter, right? With, again, the right body type, for the NBA game. A guy that can play off ball, on ball, really quick release, very, very nice shooting touch. Pretty good rebounder for his size as well. I think it does seem like it's inevitable now that he's going to play for Sacramento next year. At least everything you read sounds like the momentum and the traction, is really in place here to get him to the Kings next year. So I think it adds to the overall depth, gives them another really, really trusted shooter on the outside, a guy that you can also play, on ball as well, which is kind of like where maybe Harrison Barnes, that would be an upgrade, right? Because not only is he a proven scorer in the EuroLeague, a proven shooter, a consistent outside shooter, whereas Harrison Barnes was a lot more streaky. Mm-hmm. And Harrison, they would, give the ball to in critical moments and say, go get us a bucket, try to get to the free throw line, stuff like that. This guy can make plays for others, as well as, create his own offense and his own shots. So
Yep.
this could be a diamond in the rough sort of a scenario for the Kings if he's going to be a second unit player.
It could be, and he was actually picked up last year during the draft, his rights from Cleveland for the number 49th overall pick. So the Kings sent their second-round pick to Cleveland for his rights. So, hey, maybe he'll be ready to join the Kings this year. A couple stats here about him. He is a 6'9 forward, was the EuroLeague's leading scorer this season, also the MVP, averaged 17 points per game on an incredible shooting clip, 53% from the field, 38% from three-point range, and almost 88% from the line. His team is currently involved in the EuroLeague Final Four. They play Monaco tomorrow. The winner of that game will play either Barcelona or Real Madrid on Sunday for the championship. So hopefully we can find
Good luck, Sasha.
Hopefully we can find that and watch that online. So bottom of the line, Calvin, you think he'll be with the Kings this year?
I do think he will be.
I agree. All right, I think we're pretty much wrapping up the show here today. But Calvin, we can briefly talk about free agency. I know we kind of hold off on that to figure out where exactly everyone's going with the draft and all that stuff. But can you name any guys that are like towards the top of your wish list, free agents or non-free agents that the Kings should try and go after this offseason?
Well, yeah, I mean, wish list, right? Like,
yeah,
best case scenario. I mean, there are a couple guys who are restricted free agents that you would absolutely love to have, like, for example, Chris Middleton, or I think Cam Johnson is also a restricted free agent. Those would be excellent pickups, you know, if you were able to get one of those two. The likelihood of that happening probably isn't very high, though. So,
yeah.
But there's a lot of quality wing players available here, areas that I think the Kings could make some sort of upgrade, you know, at the forward position and even in the second unit at the forward position. Kelly Oubre Jr. is available, you know, and then there's some backup centers that you might like to have as well. I'm still a big Naz Reid fan. I think that would be a great pickup if you could get him, but I agree with Phoenix. The way he played this year on the contract that he was on, he's probably going to be a very, very hot commodity, and I don't know how easy it's going to be for Sacramento to win a bidding war with some other team, right?
Very
so the good news is I think there's a lot of really good role players available, and the fact that the Kings now have 2 All-Stars, 2 All-NBA players, it's about developing their young talent and adding, you know, the role pieces, the complementary pieces around them to coincide with this relatively young overall roster that they've got to continue to build upward. It'd be great to go out and get a, you know, certified all-star starting power forward tomorrow, like Pascal or one of those guys.
Yeah,
that would be, you know, obviously the biggest home run you could hit. But I think that Monty is going to be looking for maybe a couple of singles here or a double rather than going for the home run in free agency.
Well, Calvin, I want to talk about my home runs because I got 3 guys that I would love the Kings to go after.
Jeremy Grant is another guy that's available. Has been talked about a lot.
I got 3 home run prospects. None of them are realistic.
Yeah.
But the 3 guys,
as my dad likes to say, why not just trade for Anthony Davis or Jokic?
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Like, just get the deal done.
I'm not that far. But the 3 guys that I would love to make a deal for, if I could make a deal for one of these guys, I'd probably sell a kidney. First off, Jaren Jackson Jr. I think he would fit this team incredibly. Not very realistic. I mean, you never know. We don't know what happens with Memphis and the Ja Morant situation. Maybe they decide to move on. The Kings do have some things they could offer. So not as unlikely as it may seem, but very far-fetched. Number 2, Mikal Bridges. We'll see what happens with him in the Nets.
Would love to have him, yeah.
We saw him talking to De'Aaron Fox. We know that they're friends. Like, I think he could be the next guy to add to this team to take it to the next level. But unfortunately, it would probably take up giving up a guy like Keegan Murray to make it happen. Yeah. And I know a lot of Kings fans are very attached to Keegan, so I'm not really sure how realistic that one is. And then the third one is probably the most unrealistic of them all, considering this team and this player is still in the NBA playoffs. And that's a guy that I've been talking about forever, and that's Marcus Smart. I think he'd play incredibly well as the starting shooting guard next to De'Aaron Fox. I think he would help improve the defense on this team. He's proven he can shoot the three, and he's a leader. He's been there before. So 3 guys that are totally unrealistic. But as a Kings homer, I would love to have one of those 3 guys.
So you said Marcus Smart would be your starting 2 guard.
Yeah,
Does that mean Kevin Huerter's coming off the bench,
probably.
or you're playing him at the 3 and Murray at the 4?
Depends on how the rest of the roster rounds out, but he might be coming off the bench.
Interesting.
If we get Marcus Smart.
Oh yeah, I forgot Brook Lopez is available as well. That would be a really interesting addition, I think, for the Kings.
Yeah.
Really, really interesting.
Another guy, too, that could potentially be available is Steven Adams, another Memphis Grizzlies guy. He's a center. Yes, he is a center. But I believe he played with Sabonis in Oklahoma City. So they have a little chemistry together. But I know he's not happy about this Ja Morant stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happens with him. Would you be open to adding Steven Adams, or does that change the identity of this team
I would
way too much?
much rather have Brook Lopez than Steven Adams.
Okay.
Not because I don't like Steven Adams, but the way that the team would have to play. Lopez you can put on the perimeter because he's a really good three-point shooter, and that still leaves the middle of the floor open for Sabonis to operate and find passing lanes. With Steven Adams out there, all of a sudden that the paint there's a lot more traffic. It's more clogged because he's not going to be in the corner. He's not going to be on the wing for a catch-and-shoot 3. So I think Lopez's game would pair well with Sabonis's game.
He would. He's just a little bit older.
The only problem with that, though, is now Sabonis has to guard somebody who probably is going to play on the perimeter because Brook Lopez is going to be the anchor of your defense, right? So that I'm not really too sure of, but it would be interesting for sure. Offensively, I think it would work.
Would you consider a Ben Simmons trade this offseason?
No, I would not.
Not at all.
Nope.
Harrison Barnes, sign and trade for Ben Simmons? Not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
Bag of chips, Ben Simmons?
Nope.
Wow. Okay.
I don't want him.
There it is. No to
Didn't
Ben.
want him last year. Don't want him again this year.
No to Ben. All right. Calvin doesn't like to buy low, I guess.
Buy
Okay.
low. He's got like $150
Yeah.
million left on his contract or whatever it
Yeah, his
is.
stock is down. His stock
That's
is,
not buying low.
his stock. He's a falling knife, right? He's a falling knife. Anyways, I think that pretty much wraps up the show for us today. Calvin, did you have any other subjects you want to talk about? Any other news to mention? Anything?
No, not that I can. I mean, obviously, I wish we could talk more about the Kings. It's all speculation and guessing at this point. It's always like that, right? When you go into the off season, the good thing is now they actually have a lot to build on from last year, and we're not just talking about who's the home run pick in the draft that they absolutely have to hit on, otherwise it's another 5 years of playoff drought. Those conversations are over. So
Yeah, they are. Things are going to be a little quiet on the Kings front for the next month or so until the NBA draft, which is, June 22nd, I believe. So we should hear some more Kings news then, maybe some player movement, stuff like that. But, guys, it's the NBA playoffs right now. The lights are brightest right now, and they're shining on the 4 teams that are in the conference finals. So hopefully you enjoy basketball enough to at least watch some of these other teams play and watch this incredible playoffs that we've experienced so far. And then, hey, Kings, like I said, in a month from now, I think we're going to have a lot more Kings news, and then into the summer, as things trickle in. This is going to be a big offseason for the Kings. They got a lot to build off of, like Calvin said. And Calvin, I was really excited I didn't have to watch the draft lottery yesterday. I'm not going to lie.
absolutely.
I really was excited about that. So anyways, thank you all so much for joining us. Not sure when the next podcast will be, but make sure you hit that notification cowbell. It'll probably be in, a couple days to a week or so. We'll see what happens. Of course, if there's any big news, we will go live after that. But we're just going to be enjoying watching the playoffs and see what happens. And then, of course, once the draft gets closer and stuff like that, we'll definitely be a lot more involved. Kevin, hopefully you're doing well. Calvin, any last words for the royal family?
Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time.
Yeah, thank you guys. You guys are awesome so much. Have a wonderful night. Go Kings. Fuck the Lakers.